playstyle to practice.
Well, yeah, but if it works, you know. Just that's what you gotta do when you create a new team. You play to your strengths, and then same what you do in ban and picks. You try and eliminate those strengths from the opposing team. So we start off, you know, LeBlanc ban. They don't want Febiven roll. They don't want him snowballing and roaming the map.
No, definitely not. Febiven, of course, has done very well this year on the likes of Xerath, on the likes of Kassadin. And Febiven, actually, you know, much like Fox from SK Gaming, he's delivered, he's been consistent, but he's always had the support of the rest of his team. For Fnatic, it feels like it's a very team emphasis style, not necessarily solo carries. There's that Kassadin taken off the table. No real surprises yet, Crepo.
Yeah, but I've been through these ban and pick phases a lot, you know, in my career as a pro player, but it's always, right now, I don't know, what do you target against Fnatic? You know, in my mind, it's get rid of the Annie of Yellow Star and then maybe shut down another role, but it seems like they're going to leave the Rengar open. They already targeted Febiven twice, so they're going to rely on Soren outplaying Febiven, snowballing somehow. Not quite sure if that's going to work.
You have to question about the Rengar ban. Rengar has been so pivotal for Reignover, along with the likes of Rumble, Lissandra. These are all very high priority picks.
Is this leaning towards an Ahri first pick for Copenhagen Wolves? Because they're banning out, Kassadin's already out, you know, LeBlanc's already out, Xerath's already out. Now they're banning a lost champion, you know, Zed's already out. I feel Fnatic might be forced to just ban Ahri here or give it to Soren or have something ready up their sleeve that works well again, because Ahri is definitely a tier 1 pick here. At the same time, Fnatic still gets their Lissandra if they give away Ahri, so it's going to be tricky. You know, you have to take like 4 steps ahead instead of just looking at the first 2 rotations of picks because it has to come together. I do like the Kalista ban. I think it's smart. Basically, worst case, if Freeze goes for these hard carry champions, then at least he's on Draven and he's not as mobile as a Kalista.
So, Ahri taken off the table.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the Draven. We'll see what Freeze decides to default to. A lot of priority champions. Jarvan is up. Gnar is up. Which Youngbuck has played a few teams. Yeah, Lissandra Fahuni, it has been one of his most successful champions this year.
Problem with a pick like Rengar as well is like, yeah, you can take it away, but then you're stuck playing Rengar. In the West, that's not always been the brightest idea, you know, so unless your name's Reignover, you know, that champion kind of belongs to you, so you can leave it open as well. They have no fear of playing into a Rengar because they know the champion the best out of pretty much everybody in the West, I would almost reckon. So it's pretty much a free pick for Fnatic if they want it.
Yeah, we do see that Xerath is off the table, which has been comboed with that Rengar a few times for Reignover and Febiven. And it really feels like both of these teams have been somewhat caught off guard. There is the Lissandra pick that you were expecting, Crepo. Well, how do Fnatic reply? We've seen the hover. You know, this is something that we've seen them do time and time again and make work.
Yeah, but definitely leaves jungle Nidalee open as well, so maybe... but taking away the Nidalee from the jungle because they seem to be hovering over Rengar. And now they're doubting, it's like, hey guys, we're picking 2 jungle champions, hang on, hang on.
So for a team like Fnatic, you're coming into this game, you assume that they are the favorites by a fairly long margin. Copenhagen Wolves have shown that they can scrap, that they can fight, they can draw games out. For Fnatic, do you think they are afraid of a Soren or a Youngbuck Lissandra considering they've lost it? You know, you were touching on, hey, with all these mid lane bangs, Copenhagen was looking to just outplay 1v1 in that mid lane.
Yeah, I think definitely the value of Lissandra goes up even more now that a lot of the mid laners are out. Because she is, after all, a flex pick. We see her a lot in the top lane, but that doesn't mean she can't be playing mid. You know, remember how well Froggen did with her in the Rengar combo. So if they get a CC jungle in addition to the Lissandra mid, that they can definitely shut down this one lane. You know, not only did they force Febiven in uncomfortable picks, or maybe less comfortable, maybe not necessarily uncomfortable, but they have the double CC to shut him down. And they're hovering Gnar right here, just indicating that this is indeed a Lissandra mid.
Yeah, and it is, of course, potentially the 4th time for Youngbuck. Corki has been locked in for Steelback, the janitor on the back lane from Fnatic, as you're calling him. I'm gonna use that because I think it's beautiful. Fnatic, a lot of range poke, a lot of siege power in their 2 picks already.
I don't like this hover though, you know, you should take a note from Cloud9. Don't pick your champions, don't hover about it. If you want to think about them, think about it. You have your headsets, you know, you don't have to show the enemy, hey guys, we're thinking about it for 45 seconds long. You know, what if they pick Gnar? It's a waste of information, you shouldn't do it. Looking at Fnatic, yeah, they already have signature Fnatic style, you know, they have the Huni equalizers coming up, and then you have signature champion for Steelback Corki. It really fits his playstyle because Corki is an AD carry that allows your support to roam. You're like, yeah, go ahead, man, just go on. I have my Phosphorus Bomb, I have my rockets, I can get at least 60% of the wave on my own without getting any pressure on myself, and I can get about 80% of the wave even 1v2. And it looks like Copenhagen Wolves isn't really picking for themselves, but stealing away from Fnatic more and more and more.
Yeah, there was that Annie pick you touched on during the ban phase, putting Yellowstar on something just a little more uncomfortable. I do, however, feel his Janna has been good. It has been the disengage that Fnatic has looked for. He's also undefeated on that champion. But for Copenhagen Wolves, a lot of engage. The go switch is definitely there for them.
Yeah, Fnatic's getting into a very complex composition, you know. As we saw with Alliance as well, if you don't have any targeted hard CC, your composition becomes harder and harder to play. Sure, Fnatic's a great team, they can pull it off, but having a Janna in there, you know, a Rumble, the Equalize, yeah, it could slow some people, but it really locked them down. You know, Corki, if they end up going for this as well mid, they're almost playing a pure poke comp, and it's dangerous to play that into a hard engage with Sound of Jarvan and a wombo combo.
Well, last second swap, it's not a point and click CC, but Rainova has missed maybe none of his bowler strikes. So we're going to have that combo. The real question for me, what does Febiven feel comfortable playing in the mid lane to round out this team composition? We will see that shortly. Soren's Cassiopeia has also won the Copenhagen Wolves games in the past.
Nah, I really like this, and this might still be Young Bucks Cassiopeia. Remember, you never know.
Touché.
But I really like the Grace pick because I think they need something with a little more mobility, ranged like burst, spellcaster AD, because if they get Draven, I feel Copenhagen Wolves has a tendency to pick these really nice group comps, but then the enemies, if they're smart, they will just run rings around them and never let them fight, you know? And that's the pitfall they could fall into. So hopefully this Graves is a little better pick than a Draven. Annie Graves, incredibly potent lane, level 6, you know, plays out itself, you know, all in Tibbers burst, so that could definitely work. I like actually that they forced Janna on Yellowstar. He's a king of support, you know, and he can disengage really well, but there is literally no engage unless you win sec somebody with the Janna Q flash ultimate, but that's style points, you know, that's almost forgiving greed level of styling on them.
The wind sec. Exactly. I think that's the first time I've heard that one, and we'll most likely be hearing it again.
One, man.
Orianna out again. I think there's a lot of inherent synergy between that invisible cat shockwave. Fnatic with a fairly standard team fight comp, really. Orianna plus Rumble, and a lot of pressure if they can get that down.
They might run out of 80 damage though. I mean, Corki is a very big part of Corki's kit is magic damage, you know. Rumble and Orianna, double AP, you know. Eventually Rainover is not going to be dealing that much damage because he has to be the tanky frontline at the same time. On the other side, who's going to itemize pure MR? Only really Jarvan on the side of Copenhagen Wolves, so it's okay to play double AP into double AP. But I think Fnatic has a really complex type of champions. Like, they have a lot of poke, you know, and they can force things, but it's really hard for them to lock stuff down. If you look at what Copenhagen Wolves is doing, and I think that's really smart when you're a team that is quote-unquote inferior, make it point and click, you know. That guy, we want him dead. Okay, he's dead. Now what? What's next? Can we get an objective? And let's see if it works. But I'm keeping my eye on Youngbuck. He has to perform. Huni has shown that he had the Huni show.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Huni's Lissandra, probably the best in Europe at the moment, but it is in part due to Rainover's presence. It's the duo, it's the fact they work together on that one. I like the fact that you hit the complexity of Fnatic's comp, gives them more options. They have engage if they want it, albeit it's more difficult.
It's harder to pull off, yeah.
But they also have disengage, they have siege, they've got some strong wave clear. There are the team comps. You guys know what to do. Hashtag CW win, hashtag FNC win. We're about to jump into this game. I got 99 problems, but Crepo ain't one.
Well, that's definitely not what my ex would say.
And we're about to jump in game. It is Copenhagen Wolves versus Fnatic. Crepo, you've talked about the complexities. Let's see how aggressive the Wolves can play as we jump into the second to last game here in week number 4.
Yeah, let's see what they do. I don't think Fnatic is going to do anything too fancy. They literally have 0 hard target crowd controls effects, so if Annie stacks a stun, they can actually get caught and die. So I imagine line of scrimmage. And then, yeah, Copenhagen Wolves, they can take 2 approaches, you know. Either you play a super passive level 1, or you go all out with a crazy invade, but I imagine it's passive, you know.
Well, for Soren on this Cassiopeia, he's currently undefeated. Copenhagen Wolves, 3 wins, 4 losses coming into this game, and we know how that's going to scale. So makings of a lane swap.
It's really interesting how these metagames develop, you know. So right now we have 2 people hiding at their tier 2 tower in top because they want to dodge the ward that can possibly get placed behind them or at any of the tier 1 towers, you know, the traditional let's spot you in the lane swap ward. Because people are so used to that ward, nowadays people have been placing wards in the lane, in the brushes. So there's only one spot you can stay at if you want to stay out of sight completely, and that's run to the tier 2 tower all the way. And it looks like, I think, Unlimited might be faking a lane swap, so he hopes there's a ward there or something and it might show up randomly. I have no idea what the Copenhagen Wolves are doing, but I'm trying to explain it And this seems like the only rational explanation here.
Well, let's see if they do get that lane swap to go down. Crepo, you've already touched on the power of that Graves Annie lane. Steelback is just going to be looking to farm himself up. Obviously going to have some scaling in his favor, and it looks to be the fact that
is he going to
top
base?
laners are swapping. We don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out in a moment or two. Huni going to have the support of Yellowstar. We've seen this before as well with Huni on Rumble and Yellowstar on Janna. Tag teaming, holding hands in the jungle.
I have my eye on,
to get that level
on
2.
Limited right now. I want to figure out what he's doing. So he decides to run to his jungle, run through blind, and go back top. So it does seem that I imagine Copenhagen Wolves thought they could beat the 2v2, want the 2v2 on top, and then predict the lane swap, and then somehow force the fake lane swap by sending Unlimited bottom. It seems very complex. I might be entirely wrong here, but it doesn't matter. We have a 2v2 lane on top lane.
Might be overthinking it. We'll see how it works out. In the 2v2, Freeze played very aggressively yesterday. That was up against Forgiven and Enrated. Slightly different champion in Graves, but still a lane bully. Still got all that burst, and has the opportunity to do similar today.
They have Lissandra immediately in the lane on bottom, so she can't really do a camp on her own. So that's, I think they predicted the lane swap. They predicted that Rumble can do a camp level 1, Lissandra can't, so they just send her down the lane. They have, I think, the favorable 2v2 lane, especially once the Limited gets that stun. They get to level 2 first, and you can see they will walk up in synchronization, and then they can definitely win that trade. And Fnatic's already backed off, so I think I was right, and I think Copenhagen Wolves predicted the lane swap, and they're coming out on top right now.
So, strong early game decision-making from the Wolves. Crepo definitely impressed by some of the forethinking, despite it being a tad awkward. Freeze got a small advantage.
Hey man, I don't play pro anymore, you know. I'm just grasping at straws here. Please, something, prove me right.
Well, we'll see. Rainova, is he going to go down? No. Smites to get the health up. He's died to Krugs in the past.
Oh boy.
He's going to keep himself close, but he'll survive. Thank you for observers for showing us that one. We kind of showed him pulling the death to camp last week.
Hey man, it happens to everyone.
It happens to everybody. Airwax got control of those first crabs. And Fnatic settling into what is going to be a slightly long laning phase. Rumble definitely wants to get his equalizer. Feberbin on that Orianna. Going to look for some levels and some items. Orianna also needs some scaling, needs some time before those shockwaves really hurt.
Yeah, and Cassiopeia pushing her in, basically saying, okay, they're locked up on top. Reno gets sustained down. Huni's going aggressive with Youngbuck though.
Take a look at the damage. Huni overheats, forces Youngbuck to burn through all of his sustain. And again, it's Huni's Rumble. This is the tools that he's got available, and he gets himself an early lead in this lane.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Raynor is almost guaranteed to go show up in his bot lane to definitely try and snowball that matchup. Targeting the weak link on Copenhagen Wolves, definitely Youngbuck, so I think that's a smart approach. They definitely punished the early jungling from Rengar. He got really low. He didn't get a leash at all, if I recall correctly, so that he could really safely push up in mid lane and put some pressure on the side from Soren. That in turn allows Arex to move in, but he found Rainover.
Well, let's see who's going to win this trade. Rainover takes damage. He's knocked up in the air. Arex continues to fight. Rainover forced to flash over the wall. And early trading power of the Jarvan comes out ahead.
I like it. They're pushing mid. This allows their jungle to play aggressive, and if you put pressure on Rainover, then everything crumbles for Fnatic because they have rather weak lanes, except for Huni actually just being the stronger laner against Youngbuck. I don't exactly know how that matchup goes, so I don't know if Youngbuck's misplaying it. Huni's a god. Maybe I'm just wrong. But Copenhagen Wolves, impressive early game so far.
Well, Crepo, you don't need to doubt yourself. Trust your gut. I believe in you. But yeah, the aggressive play from Airwax, as you mentioned in Picks and Bans, it's something Airwax has done. He did it against Svenskeren, arguably one of the most aggressive junglers, if not the most aggressive, in the European LCS. And Rainover with some early pressure. We've also seen him go for early ganks, the flash bowler, once he's got that root charged up. So that's going to delay any sort of presence that Rainover can put down.
Oh, this is so smart. So they basically go into the enemy jungle, then they dodge that ward by going through the enemy jungle over the bush. They're waiting about 6 more seconds. He's going to come out, and this is almost guaranteed. Huni burning his flash. Look at the CC as well on Youngbuck. Huni's playing so far up. This might actually be first blood or a flash blown on Huni.
Well, let's see how Airwax plays the lane out. He's bided his time.
Here we
got
go.
the flag and drag available. Huni, is he going to get caught? Youngbuck looking for the CC. The glacial path is out. The knockout lands. Youngbuck's moving in. He's rooted Huni in place. Huni's overheating, but he's got the shield up. 5, he turns some damage down in reply. Does force the flash. And Airwax got 2 flashes down from Fnatic in the early game.
Yeah, I think this is really smart play. Again, you know, they're taking small advantages, translating where they need to. They need to stop Huni from snowballing. They already put Rainover behind a little bit. He's not really able to gank, and they have control over the bot lane. Top lane's fine. Mid lane is fine. They're not going to get ganked. So Rainover has to show bottom. I think they want to push out this lane and give Huni a safe base here.
So, smart play then from the Wolves. We need to see how it works around. Reinover's keeping himself in. This is a counter gank. Airwax is away. Airwax has got out now. We do see Young Buck slowed. And that Glacial Path is going to get him to safety. A lot of attention on these top laners who are currently in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I really want to stress how smart it is to get that top lane 2v2. That they're shut down, they're locked up. Mid pushing allows your jungle to move in, so the pushing mid lane is the first one to back the jungle up if they go into the 1v1. But they're staying around here. Youngblood might actually be a little bit in trouble because Rumble has a lot of damage, but they're not committing to it.
Yeah, Huni yesterday realized what a botched tower dive can do to games, and he
I think he knew that already.
Reinover.
I think he knew that already, but definitely a smart choice there. You don't want to dive level 6 Lissandra. That's a little bit too much.
Does Huni want to pick a fight? Equalizer's available. He's in the danger zone. Got the damage. We do see Reinover coming. This is going to be a lot of trouble. Huni's overheating. There's no ultimate available. Flash out from Youngbuck. Huni's overheat prevented the equalizer, but reply for flash. And a lot of presence from the junglers in those solo lanes.
Yeah, interesting direction to send your Lissandra E in there. It's just face plants in the wall and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna flash out, boys. I'm out. So that's the flash advantage nullified. But in the end, look at the gold count: 9.8k, 9.9k right now. So 600 gold difference for Copenhagen Wolves, and they're definitely keeping Fnatic down. And we don't really see what Fnatic usually does in this case. Okay, still early game. Let's let Corki farm and send Bora roaming, but Janna isn't really like a pick roam support. So again, Champs like working in their favor, but it is after all Fnatic, and all we need is one good Reinover gank, and this starts to snowball.
Well, we'll see if Reinover can find that gank. You touched on the gold difference. You see Febiven down around 10 CS in the middle lane, around 30 CS the difference between Freeze and Steelback. That duo of Graves plus Annie has kept Steelback and Yellowstar so defensive, they have missed multiple waves. And it's resulted in a 600 gold difference already in this early stage.
This is where we sometimes call Steelback a little overrated, because I don't think his laning is that strong, you know. Just from playing him a couple of times, watching his games, he drops some CS where he doesn't trade all super well. Of course, they don't have the favorable matchup, but I don't think the CS differential should be 35 CS almost, especially not in a matchup like this, uncontested in the top lane.
For Copenhagen Wolves, the pressure really comes in keeping up this good early game. What we've seen from other teams who are at the bottom of the table, they have had moments of brilliance. They have held off the top of the table teams for a period of time before the skill disparity eventually evens it out. So let's see how Fnatic find their opportunity.
This is what we're waiting for pretty much. And Reinover made it to level 6. Rengar is not a good early ganker, you know. It's a nice bonus if he gets a kill here and there. He already burned the flash even though the flash was down. And here he goes, immediate ulti. He's gonna get the ball on top of himself and they might kill him.
Wow, insta-flash.
I respect flash.
Insta-flash from Soren. Shockwave not even needed.
Did he pull the creep?
Another successful gank. Huni's chilling in the mid lane as well, looking to set a play up. But Soren very, very wisely, afraid of the Shockwave, afraid of the root. He's going to return back to the bottom lane.
Yeah, Reinover actually bought the creep, but they're finding Huni here.
Well, let's see what Huni can do. He's caught down. That's a lot of damage. Despite getting the Equalizer out, he's going to get taken out. Fairly easy duo.
And this is what I was talking about, you know, double CC lockdown. It makes it really easy for you to play the game. And if you play against a better team, make it simple. Burn his flash once and then come back to punish him again. Burning the flash isn't worth it if you don't capitalize on it. And definitely really good that Soren managed to survive that Rengar gank as well. They do put a lot of respect on Reinover. I went back and watched the clip. He basically bowled the creep, so Soren could have just walked out. But with a Rengar as good as Reinover, you don't have the time to see whether bowler connects with it, because if you see it, you're probably already dead. So definitely respect flash from Soren in the mid lane there. Kept
him alive. So first blood on the board for the Copenhagen Wolves. It does, in fact, land onto Huni after all of those repeated ganks. Again, early game, definitely going in favor of Copenhagen Wolves. And you know what? Against Fnatic, where you know their picks and bans, you know their play style, it's surprising it's taken 4 full weeks of games for teams to actually start to play around it. But again, the pressures on Copenhagen Wolves to keep the vision up, to avoid those Reinover Rengar ganks, because that's what gets Fnatic back in the game.
Well, I think we just saw an extra crack in the wall every game as the weeks went on, you know. We saw a little bit of here. We saw once Janna was forced on Yellow Star, there was a lack of early plays coming out of Fnatic, but then they're just superior teamwork later in the game, good disengage and punish of mistakes, definitely worked into their favor. But we see Airwax, again, he's spending more time in Reinover jungle than his own almost, and I really think it's a smart choice. And then whenever he falls back, he takes the Scuttle Crab. That's even more vision. And Copenhagen Wolves seen in control. Take a glance over at the top lane. Basically a fake base here. Unlimited Tibbers could do a lot of damage and immediately win that trade for them. But he's getting poked out.
Yeah, massive amount of damage from Steelback and Yellow Star. The Howling Gale and that Rocket Barrage. Copenhagen Wolves still with a gold lead. But very smart play from them, as you've highlighted. No engage from Yellowstar, but Unlimited.
They're overreaching.
He's looking. That's a Tibis down. They're pushing onto Yellowstar. He is just destroyed. The healing from Monsoon means nothing when you're ignited. And that is a dead support. Oh, it's not over yet. They want Rainover. Rainover's caught out. He is caught in the Cataclysm. He's stealthed up. No more vision. We do see Soren throwing out that Petrifying Glaze. Rainover's jumped back in. Shockwave is up. 2 caught. That was a re-engage they did not want. Equalizer from the back line as Hooney's trying to set something up. Take a look at Febiven. He's low on mana. Airwax gets the knockup. Febiven looking for the kill. They're going to trade. This is a 1 for 2 so far. Soren is going to be able to stay alive for the time being as Hooney is overheating. The shield is up. Copenhagen Wolves with a 3 for 1 in the jungle.
All right, let's take it back all the way. Yes, I was wrong. They weren't overreaching. What I was going to say, it's really hard to freeze a wave into Koki Janna poke. But if you can catch Janna outside of her exhaust range, that was really well played. Nor Freeze or Unlimited got any of their spells exhausted, basically nullifying that summoner on Janna. He got blown up, and then look at this. They have Pink Ward in the jungle as well, and they find Rainover.
Wow, just destroying him. The positioning from Hooney, is he reacting too late?
He's bet, but look, that Pink Ward almost spots Rainover. Rainover would have died, but this I do not understand. This is greedy. You shouldn't turn back around. Poison kills him. Orianna ulti doesn't do enough damage. Yes, the Rumble's coming, but there's no lockdown to keep them on that ultimate, and Youngbug's there too.
Yeah, Febiven, no mana, unfortunately. Not going to be able to get any more of those spells down. And again, Hooney just overheating, not getting the spells out.
And this is another flash burn for Hooney. That means the next ulti rotation, Cataclysm keeps him locked up, you know. Frozen Tomb from Lysandra keeps him locked up yet again, so they can punish this in the future as well. Hooney already invested his escape for the next fight in this fight, and he lost out of it. So this could be a really ugly snowball for Copenhagen Wolves right now.
Well, let's see if they can make it work. They've got themselves a 3,500 gold lead. All of the tools are available to them. Rod of Ages completed for Soren, tier stacking. Infinity Edge picked up for Freeze, in comparison to nothing for Steelback yet. But Rainover is sniffing some catnip in the top lane. We'll see if he can get himself a taste of Youngbuck. Teleport comes up from Hooney as well. Youngbuck, Glacial Paths away. This is a 4-man dive. Equalizes out. Youngbuck is buying so much time. He's needing so much resources. He's still not dead. Now he gets taken out. What do Copenhagen Wolves do in response?
Cross-map objective. Every time you see a lot of people in one side of the map, you need to get a cross-map objective. That means zone them off the mid tower, get that tower, and possibly dive. At the bottom, Freeze is getting a tower as well. I think Youngbuck wasted his flash. I think he should have just ultied. That would have been enough time to get these 2 towers. I don't blame him for trying. Having 4 people in your top lane when you have a flash ulti Lysandra is kind of counter logic, you know, and you see why it is counter logic, because Steelback's barely getting this tower here, and they've lost 2 towers and almost losing a 3rd one, if not guaranteed losing a 3rd tower for Copenhagen Wolves here.
There is no wave clear on the side of Fnatic, and that's going to be 3 towers to 1. The goal difference growing to 5,000, and Copenhagen Wolves setting up for a dragon.
And this is where Fnatic is going to suffer from the complexity of their composition. How do you get back? You almost need Rainover to engage with the Orianna ball on him. Take a pick that doesn't instantly get CC down, locked down, somehow get 2 kills, get an objective out of it with the Rumble ulti. Whereas Youngbuck, he can just point and click, you know, W that gets him, you know, ulti that gets him as well. And Rainover is forced to use his ulti defensively, and he is the first domino stone in Fnatic's composition. If you remove that stone, the snowball's not going to get rolling, and they're stuck playing an elements type of game right now, you know? Yeah, poke them out, you know, maybe they overreach, but we'll take a step backward. You take a step forward, we'll take another step backward. And eventually you're going to lose towers, you're going to lose objectives, and Copenhagen Wolves, they have the hold on this game right now.
Well, we'll see if they can maintain control. It's difficult to see how Fnatic are going to pull themselves back in without a monumentally magic team fight. Copenhagen Wolves, 15 minutes are going to take that first dragon. Take a look at the itemization. Youngbuck sitting on around 1,000 gold, still looking to complete his first item, but taking damage from Hooney.
I like the Negatron cloak on him. It's really smart into double AP. Basically, he wants to go in, CC. He doesn't need the damage, you know. Look at Cassiopeia, Graves, Annie, Jarvan. That's enough damage. Youngbuck basically becomes like a secondary CC tank, you know. He wants to get a Morellonomicon later to hit that 35/40% CDR cap. Basically becomes a CC bot, and it's so annoying to kill Lysandra when she gets a little ahead.
Yeah, this is actually something Deficio touched on yesterday. If you fall behind as a Lysandra, the traditional build is that Fiendish Codex and some MR, some survivability. Youngbuck didn't necessarily fall behind, but his game is working out. His team is really reading Fnatic well and playing around Fnatic's weaknesses exquisitely.
All right, now Fnatic's doing a double freeze though, so they're freezing on the top lane, they're freezing on the bot lane. This is basically Fnatic in damage control. If not a freeze, it'll be a slow push. But this allows Copenhagen Wolves to ward up the entire map uncontested because they're constantly seeing multiple people on the map. So top laners locked down, 80 carries in vision. This leaves only Orianna, Rengar, Janna. They're not going to do anything to you if you're grouped. So again, Copenhagen Wolves doing the right thing. You know, okay, you guys are freezing. I'll take your vision. And then once you're done freezing, we might be at Baron that's going to spawn in about 3.5 minutes from now. And you'll be face-checking literally every bush into a full CC comp. Well, good luck with that.
So, Copenhagen Wolves playing League of Legends by the numbers. Look at the vision control they've got at this top half of the map.
You can rotate mid right now. This is the beauty of vision, you know. You ward up the red jungle, that means you ward up the transition path. If you ward up the transition path, you can move between the lanes, and Fnatic will be late at every tier 2 tower.
Yeah, you sound extremely excited by this.
I love League of Legends.
And Copenhagen Wolves, surprising, I think, many. I did not expect this level of really control around the map. They simply haven't demonstrated in many of their previous
games. The Rengar ulti. They just need to kite back and place a pink ward, and then they're fine.
Well, let's see if they can. Rainover manages to jump on Unlimited. He's the first one to get taken out as the Shockwave does get thrown down from Feven. It's a 1-for-1 trade as Yellowstar's trying to survive the poison damage. He does manage to hold on for just a moment. It's a support for a jungler, and Copenhagen Wolves are in retreat.
So, impressive by Fnatic. This should have not worked out this well, and sloppy misplay by Copenhagen Wolves. When you face a composition like this that has a Rengar, which is the main initiator, bring a pink ward. Place it down, pop him, you know. Lissandra, the way she works right now, her ultimate stops Rengar in the leap as well. You know, Annie should have been popping the stun on Rainover way earlier. Look, and they bunch up for the Orianna ulti, and Freeze is forced to walk back all the way, and then they get the equalizer on the follow-up, and it gets really close for both teams. But Fnatic should not be allowed to call back into the game like this. Definitely bring a pink ward against Rengar, and you will absolutely win that siege.
Well, we'll see if Copenhagen Wolves learn from this one. You can see Yellowstar channeling that Monsoon, staying alive. The fact that Freeze and AWAX went low obviously prevented any further engage, but a 1-for-1, despite the fact that Fnatic are still so far down.
And it's an even trade, but it's really good for Fnatic because this basically means a reset. Everybody resets and basically meets in the neutral points, which is the river. That means you can reclaim vision control of your own jungle, which in essence is a loss for Copenhagen Wolves, you know. Yeah, they went 1-for-1, but they're losing all their deep vision, and they need to layer that, you know. You need to push the lanes, then get deep vision, then push them again, then start rotating. So it's like a multi-step process, and they're back at step 1. So let's see if they can do it clean again, finish those tier 2 towers, and then start rolling back into the Baron area to start baiting the Baron. And that's where it gets really tricky, you know. Good thing Rengar has a global scout, but if they don't, they have to walk into Lissandra, Jarvan, Cassiopeia, and Annie. Any of them can lock you down and just instantly pop you.
Well, we'll see if one of those scenarios sets up. There is a pink ward in this bush. Fnatic trying to pull some resources up, but they're not going to be able to defend. We'll have to replace. And this is traditionally where we've seen these teams that struggle try to start to fall apart.
So,
take
going again.
Unlimited's caught out. He's melted down. First victim as we see Equalizer thrown out from Huni. Soren on the retreat. And Fnatic punishing Wolves and Unlimited.
So, again, I'm telling you, this is a multi-step process, and I was about to compliment Copenhagen Wolves on doing the smart thing. Don't put all your eggs in the middle lane basket, you know. Have Youngbuck push out that bot lane, and then you can start rotating with pressure again. But for the love of God, don't overextend and get caught, because then you're back at square one. Youngbuck's forced to go mid. The ultimates are down though, but they're having a hard time getting this tower, possibly.
Well, Youngbuck decides not to engage. The Shockwave pulls AWAX back in. Rainover was rooted in place. Tower still stands as AWAX is down. Rainover's looking for the root. Youngbuck gets slowed. Still got the Frozen Tomb available. Fnatic with another kill on the board. They are digging deep and defending that tower.
Copenhagen Wolves, relax. You know, you don't have to get that tower immediately. Place a pink ward, sit around it, keep that mid lane shoved in, let somebody push up a side wave, and then you can start rotating. Bring those pink wards. You need to spot that Rengar, and this is an absolutely insane read by Fnatic. They see somebody on the bottom, like, yeah, okay, these guys are not ready for a panic engage on their main engage. They take out the Annie, and then Copenhagen Wolves overreaches and get punished by Orianna.
Well, let's see what Steelback can do. He Valks, Soren is chasing.
Force the
He's
flash.
going to throw the poison out. And again, Steelback 0-0-2, got that Triforce completed, but he's down 45 CS to his opposite number.
Yeah, but at this point, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, you know, it's only what you're doing right now, and Fnatic's holding on better than they should have, you know. This game should have been closed out already. And look at the bot lane, that's stacked. So Copenhagen Wolves only has 2 waves to play with anymore, and the longer you go, the more wave clear comes on Orianna, the more wave clear on Huni, and the more you will start to need to look at Baron instead of endlessly sieging.
Wow, Rainover has found Unlimited before. He's found him again. Unlimited takes some damage. Red buff is helping out, putting some damage down into Freeze. He's actually going to secure that one. What do Fnatic do now?
See, look 3 minutes ago, Copenhagen Wolves would have pushed Fnatic all the way out of the jungle. Now they're getting contested on like the first line of brushes pretty much. Soon, if Fnatic keeps calling back into the game, they will get contested on their second line of brushes, and then they can't really bait the Baron even more. So Fnatic is doing an incredibly good job at staying alive in this game, and Copenhagen Wolves is suffering because every time they're forced back to step 1 of the siege rotation game, you know, and they really need to start making one work because eventually Bora's shot column is going to come out on top.
Well, Copenhagen Wolves, they showed that they can climb the ladder. They showed that they have the ability to scale up, to push up, to play the map. But that 5,000 gold lead is now dwindled to around 3,000. Fnatic unable to secure the dragon. That's number 2.
This might be a big engagement from either side.
Let's see where Reignover goes. Pink Ward still not going down. They do manage to find one. Reignover is destroyed by the burst of Freeze. That is replied by AWAX. Jungler for jungler. The shockwave pulls Freeze in. Freeze is now out of the fight. What can Youngbuck do? Forced to self-cast the Frozen Tomb, but the AoE is going to be enough to take down Yellowstar. Soren continues to fight. He's found Steelback. He's looking for Huni. He's found him. Now he's on to Featherfin. The Twin Fangs. It's a triple fang. That is Soren going huge.
I'm just gonna let that moment last for a while. That was absolutely beautiful. It should not happen. Youngbuck had his ulti way too long. Just look at Youngbuck and look at how long it takes him for him to cast the ulti. Again, they're initiating on the engage, but I think Reignover overreached a little bit. And I would kite back here if I was Copenhagen Wolves. We just expended so many spells. Cassiopeia ulti doesn't really connect, you know, Soren's low. Youngbuck using his ulti. Yellowstar, unfortunate, when you walk back on the Lissandra ultimate, you take the damage. Yellowstar shouldn't have died there. That would have prevented the triple kill. So I think Copenhagen Wolves got lucky here that they had an insane skill play, but here they're fighting again.
Oh, Huni's in trouble, but Freeze is going to get taken out. It's Reignover that gets the kill credit. Teleport from Youngbuck. He's looking for a target. Will follow Airwax. He's chasing Reignover. Reignover's knocked in the air. Janna's got the shield down as Huni's dropped in the background. That knockup's not going to be enough. Actually, it is Reignover. Very aggressively jumps back in. Had the support of Steelback, but it was Youngbuck that took out Huni in reply for losing Freeze.
So basically, Copenhagen Wolves is playing around with a shotgun, you know. They have a lot of damage that blasts in a lot of directions, but they run out of shells in that fight. And then you gotta back off, you know. You take one kill, take Reignover down, and then back off. But we're already talking about the next fight. This game is going absolutely crazy. I can't even keep up.
Yeah, this is obviously just the replay of that previous engage. Huni gonna get chased down. I love the shotgun analogy. And see if Copenhagen Wolves can find time to reload.
Well, they have an Uzi in between in Cassiopeia, but that's the one Uzi in an army of shotguns. So definitely, if you blow one guy up and you basically use all your spells on him, back out, you know, wait for them. It's fine. There is no pressure because you already screwed up your mid game. Time to take it slow again. You don't have that advantage anymore that you had. And you see what we talked about. Reignover is, it's incredible how he can come back into this game after being destroyed in the early game. Every single of his ultis managed to work.
Yeah, and you can't deny the fact that he's got that CS advantage. One thing you do want to highlight, 0-3-10 on AWAX's Jarvan. Definitely an instigating force for the Wolves. 5-1-3 on Sora's Cassio. We said how impactful it is. Soren, undefeated in 2 games. He's looking to make it a third, but they can't afford more mistakes.
I'm worried though, because the longer you go, Janna's shield gets stronger, Janna ulti heals more, and his damage is going to stay pretty much the same. You know, Rumble's shield, that's going to get stronger, Orianna's shield going to get stronger. They're staying in this game, and yeah, eventually Copenhagen Wolves' shotguns are just not going to be strong enough, and then Fnatic will just win this game.
So Creppa, you feel the scaling on the side of Fnatic, despite the 5k gold.
Jailbreakers smite to AoE the minions down for wave clear. Pretty smart by Reignover. He doesn't need to smite for any objectives right now. So yeah, they're basically saying, no, you guys can't get our towers. If you want to play, you got to play the vision game, and you got to bait us to Baron, but we at least have 1 blue trinket on Corki, and then if you get that down, we have the global check from Rengar. So if you get that down, then we'll start phase checking. So it's incredibly hard for Copenhagen Wolves to close this out. They don't have the security blanket of a Kalista to say, okay, we'll start smiting at 2k instead of 500. So Copenhagen Wolves, they're slowly running out of options here, and Fnatic with an impressive hold on this game.
And look at all of the wards on that top half of the map. Yes, there are 2 sight stones on the side of the Copenhagen Wolves, but their vision has been really quite fantastic.
Yeah, but there's no oracles though. Doesn't matter if you have all these dots of vision if you let the enemy just place 1 or 2 wards in between, because then you're not controlling dark areas, and that's the power of vision. You want to force people into lose-lose situations. Either we get the objective, or either you come face check, look for us. But if you give them the wards, they're essentially useless, because once you start sieging, you're running into too much wave clear. Look at this, Fnatic's already controlling the Baron area, and Copenhagen Wolves is doing this thing where they pile up as a group, and they can't split anymore, and this allows Fnatic to basically just jump around them, put a little ward at the left side, put a little ward at the right side, stall for long enough, and eventually Copenhagen Wolves gets caught by Rengar or overreaches on an engage.
Well, let's see if Reignover can find another target. Steelback backing off in the top lane. We do see some big items completed. Ghostblade for Freeze, BF Sword picked up for Steelback, Chalice secured for Yellow Star as well.
And that's a good point, Quickshot. That's the makings of a Mikhail's Crucible, and that's going to be absolutely crucial in this matchup. You know, get rid of Lissandra ultimate, get rid of Annie's stun, and suddenly the fight becomes a lot harder because no longer are those targets locked down. They have a plethora of options to disengage. They have these shields, they have the Janna ulti. They stay alive longer than you would reckon, and you're going to run out of damage. So unless Soren can get a lot of those twin fangs, or triple fangs as you called them earlier, they're going to have a hard time. The gold differential is still 4K, but it's been 4K for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, which of course shrinks in effectiveness as the game goes on. QSS picked up after finishing the next item for Steelback, so not only is that Mikhail's closer for Yellow Star, Steelback's going to have the ability to self-cleanse one of those abilities. Rainover clearing out the crab 35 seconds before Dragon is up. Fnatic have not had a touch on Dragon, despite having a very strong sort of, you know, AoE and Rumble in Orianna, but that is, of course, because they fell so far behind so early on.
But there are only 2 dragons down in a 27-minute game, so that's fine. You know, you only want to look at 5 dragons, and that's still 18 minutes or maybe a little less, say 14 minutes possibly away. So they definitely have the time to play around with that, because then it's hitting really the late game, and we saw how good Fnatic is right now. And you see, again, there's no splitting, you know. Okay, Copenhagen Wolves pushed up a slow push on top. They have a wave on bottom. Rainover's taking care of that. They should really drive in the mid lane right now and then use those double waves. They engage on Febiven.
Well, let's see if they take him out. He's down. Frozen Tomb. Unlimited flash over the wall into the Tibbers, and Copenhagen Wolves setting their sights on Baron.
This is an incredibly smart engage because they have the top lane pushing, somebody had to go there, bot lane was pushing, and they can secure the Baron, but remember, Rainover can still jump in and smite steal, so ballsy play into Equalizer with Rumble. Let's see if this works out.
So, Copenhagen Wolves, 5 members in the pit versus 4 members of Fnatic. Everybody is around. The Equalizer goes out. It's not bad. Rainover jumps forward, waiting for the shockwave. He's out. We do see Fnatic on the retreat. Airwax has been taken down. It's 2 kills in favor of Fnatic as Steelback is on the board. Baron is stopped for the trade of Rainover.
And looking at the aftermath, ignoring the fight, you cannot come out of a fight 2-man down with a 1-man engage if you still have flash and ulti up on Cassiopeia. That should never ever happen.
There's the engage playing out. That's a great Cataclysm from Airwax.
It is if Youngbuck's helping with the backline, but if both of them are doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, they're rendering one of them obsolete, and that's why you see a 2-for-1. You know, Youngbuck went in, Airwax went in, they're like, okay guys, fix the problem in the back, I'll deal with the front, but they went 2-for-1 on a Baron bait. That should never ever happen. They do pick up the Dragon here, but I think Fnatic can count their blessings. They got lucky there.
Small misplays from the Copenhagen Wolves. And it's been small misplays the longer this game has gone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's very clear that the Wolves had a strong decision and strategy in the early game. Their lane plan, their swap, their invades. They've kept Fnatic down, but it feels like they haven't been able to master the later stages of the game.
Seems like they got handed a textbook to how to take down Fnatic 101 with 100 pages, but it was only filled in until page 40. And then it kind of starts looking, guys, we got blank pages here, what do we do? Okay, we watched LCS, okay, we saw some rotations, we saw some plays, but I don't really know how this works. And then suddenly Rainover comes out of the invisibility, he's like, hey guys, you forgot your pink words.
Yeah, that's why the pages were blank, because Rainover was on a thrilling hunt. We did see a Warmog's picked up for Unlimited, which you haven't called out just yet. Very tanky front line. Mostly likely because Rainover has jumped on him 1,000 times. As a support main, is that your first sort of rushed item?
To be fair, I don't play much Annie. But no, I would not play Warmox Annie. I think if you really want to do that, what I like is Rainover, he's being selfish, so he built the Spectre's Cow and then the Warmox on himself, so he doesn't have a Locket for his team. He waits for Boar to get that later. Airwax is forced to play Locket, you know. Against a double AP, let your Jarvan get really tanky. Let him build Banshee's Veil, or Veil rather, himself. Not a Banshee's baby cow. But but then let your support build Aegis. I'd love to build Aegis on Annie. It gives me everything I need unless I'm going straight AP. So definitely, I think Copenhagen Wolves forgot to plan for the late game, and they were just like, let's invest in this early game, and they're definitely losing some stocks here.
Well, 13 minutes has gone by. 4,500 gold separates these two players. Teams rather. Huni is now caught out. Unlimited's chasing him. Freeze doesn't even need the help. He just insta-gibbed Huni. Huni's got no real arm outside that sequence.
See, I'd like them to see the pick up that bot wave. You know, you're so close, Freeze. Just walk over, buckshot it, and that's a slow push going for you again if you have troubles in the future. Don't leave those side lanes even, because at the top side, Steelback just pushes a side wave, and now you're dealing with one wave into an Ariana, and you better make that dive work because your side lanes, they're not pushing with you. That means in 4 or 2 minutes from now, you don't have any Baron pressure unless you run there right now. But then you got to play it perfect. You know, you got to use your CC well, spread it out, and definitely don't make the same mistake again.
Well, teleport is available for Huni. He's spawning in 7 seconds. Yellow Star's moving forward. He could be the first victim. Gets the knockup. Glacial Path comes out. Insta Monsoon. Yellow Star's on the retreat. He's going to flash over the wall. He does make it out. Now Airax looking for a target. He can't Cataclysm steal back. The Bola Strike goes wide for Rainover. Tibbers hits no one. Unlimited forced to flash over the wall. Rainover is on the board as we do see Unlimited in the retreat. Fnatic find the kill.
That should never happen. Monsoon should never proc Elisandra away without using the W or the R. Like, Yellow Star played that frame perfect. You know, there's half a second later, he's dead. Half a second earlier, he's dead. And he managed to take the exact path out, flash out, and then the beauty of that play, Rainover counter engages.
Oh, Rainover knew Soren was there. Steps backwards. Soren's on the retreat. The Snake Lady's trying to get away. Here comes a zippy young buck. Finds himself a wall. Glacial Paths away. Is going to get that frozen tomb onto Featherbin. Here comes a support. Freeze blows up one. That's a double hourglass as Featherbin and young buck trade 1 for 1. In the background, Soren's found Yellow Star and Steelback goes man mode. He dives in. We see Huni picking up a kill as Soren is putting a poison down into Steelback. Huni looking for freeze, forced to flash away. Huni's already died to that Graves before. The poison's ticking. Shield keeps Huni alive. And another sloppy engage. 18 to 15 in 32 minutes. These teams are happy to fight.
Yeah, if the Wolves clean up the janitor there, they could have had a Baron, but they have to back off right now. Pretty much a reset again, but I just want to highlight how smart Rainover is. I'll do that after the possible catcher quick shot.
Let's see what happens. Vision is out, the poison goes through. Steelback makes it out. Huni's going to be the sacrificial lamb.
He volunteers his tribute, and then really right now they have to push in the lanes. Look at it, mid lane, bot lane's pushing out. But look at Soren, he gets absolutely outplayed by Rainover. 1-2 step, and it's like, nope, you're not ulting me. And then he survives and forces the flash with the Boa. Before this fight, I want to take it all the way back, you know. Bora, he escaped right there, you know, and basically forced the counter engage from Rainover. But if you look at your play and play, they're doing Baron.
Well, let's see what Rainover can do. He's hopped in, Baron secured by the Copenhagen Wolves. Rainover tried to get in, but it wasn't enough. So after all of the aftermath, Wolves are the one that grabbed Baron. And once again, Fnatic are playing completely defensive.
And definitely on Soren's back there. He's playing incredible this game. He does so much damage. He basically forced 2 people out there, scouted the right bush with the poison, basically forced Huni to sacrifice himself. And then this time they didn't get caught by Rainover. They have the Baron buff, and now this is going to help their sieges so much because it's double AP into these buff Baron minions is incredibly hard.
Well, equalizer just defensively from Huni, but he can't do that if another wave rocks up. I'm going to go all the way back to picks and bans, Crepo. Copenhagen Wolves banned out so many mid lane champions, and you said the exact line, Soren looking to outplay Featherbin. Oh, he's done it. 7-1-6. His Cassio has been the reason the Wolves have stayed relevant the longer this game has gone.
Yeah, but so basically Soren made that investment in pushing the mid lane, but Airax, he capitalized on that. He used that window of opportunity to go into the jungle and shut down Rainover. Top lane, the 2v2, they didn't get out of there. There was no like proactive play from Fnatic, and then they held Youngbuck in the match. And if we see at the stats, or we look at the stats rather, Youngbuck's given up first blood in quite a lot of games already, and he did in this game. He even burned a flash on Huni, and basically they stopped everything what Fnatic did well. They had issues translating the advantage, but they're still ahead. 6,000 gold and a Baron right now.
In half of the games the Copenhagen Wolves have played, 4 out of 8, including this one, Youngbuck has given up first blood. I was wondering if he was going to become the reverse Yankos, giving up first blood as opposed to securing it, but not today. Dragon is respawning. This is Dragon number 4. Fnatic are nowhere near, and that ticking time bomb is now really counting down.
Yeah, because they have decent late game, and look at it, four Dragons, that means the next one's up in 6 minutes. That's going to be roughly when Baron's going to come up. Fnatic need to get a grasp on vision control basically 3 to 4 minutes from now, because you can't start fighting for these objectives when they spawn. That's a mistake a lot of people make in competitive, in solo queue even. You want your vision out there before, so you can challenge the contest of the vision, because if you don't and you have to fight in a dark area, you'll have to rely on basically Rainover making absolutely sick play again. And eventually, you know, the Wolves are going to figure out that pink works, spot Rengar, and then they'll have a really big issue.
So planning ahead, that is the plan for Fnatic. We want to touch on Limiter's build again. He's got himself a Giant's Belt to go with the Warmogs. Going to be using all of that armor and MR from his Molten Shield to help improve the value of his health. It's non-traditional, but you can't argue it has been kind of working out.
I mean, why would you go Warmogs instead of straight magic resistance? I mean, are you that afraid of Corki's all attacks on Annie? because all the other damage is purely magic. Rumble is coming out. Okay, Reignover is jumping him, of course, but okay, that could explain it technically, but then even then, I'd rather just get a Zhonya's, survive that all in. I don't think health stack is the best option for Unlimited here. Better invest in pink wards and stop getting jumped on.
Well, that's the reason I love League of Legends, is there's always going to be a healthy debate as to what is working, what is not working. We do see Copenhagen Wolves. The wave has been cleared by Fnatic. Febevent plus Steelback doing a great job of just wave clearing. And Copenhagen Wolves continue the siege. No more Baron.
But credit where credit's due, even if his build is debatable. Let's leave that in the middle. Unlimited has been doing a lot of great engages here, and he's basically been the first snowball of the avalanche, the first domino stone going down. Basically, they can pile on the Cataclysm, they can pile on Young Bucks with aura of CC on top of that Tibbers, and then he stays long enough around for a second CC rotation, and then his job is done, and it doesn't matter what he builds.
So let's see if he can keep that CC down. Fnatic got themselves an hourglass on both Huni and Febevent. That's going to be very important to survive some of the burst that can come up from Freeze, from Soren, from Youngbuck. But they haven't been given the opportunity to have these extended team fights that they might be looking for.
Going back in time, I would actually like to see, as trolly as it sounds, a Banner of Command. You can get Aegis, double Aegis stacks in fights on the users. You get the Banner of Command. Once you get the Baron buff, you can basically make an unkillable cannon minion that we saw Lamination do against this composition. Basically, Copenhagen Wolves is suffering from the problem they can't really split push, because they can't sacrifice one member of their composition to go on a different lane because they're afraid to get jumped on. Why not have a minion do that for you, and then put on a side lane push, and then eventually Fnatic will have to peel one guy off, and that facilitates the dive rather. So I think if Copenhagen Wolves looked into the future a little better, that Locket could have maybe even been a Banner of Command on an Annie router, because she actually values from the AP component as well. And then that could have been definitely a better build. Right now, Copenhagen Wolves, they're content with taking the backseat, having medium deep vision, and they're waiting for the next objectives, because they couldn't even get an inhib open with the Baron buff. So definitely going to try a little harder next time with the next Baron buff and with the 5th Dragon, because sieging right now is basically throwing away the game. So I want to see a lot of wards from Copenhagen Wolves come out. Controlled aggression. Definitely do not get caught. Whatever you do, keep that vision up.
Well, Copenhagen Wolves seem to have figured out the side lane. Both top and bottom appear to be pushing in their favor. And they are stacking up on the middle. They've got wards around Baron. 2 minutes until that one spawns. Dragon not too far off, but the wave clear from Fnatic is very strong. It is very solid. Can Copenhagen Wolves play these side lanes as effectively as they've been playing the vision game?
I think they're almost timed perfectly. They need to hold 2 more waves in middle, and then they can start backing off for an objective. Baron's a minute 30 away. Dragon will be a little later, I presume. So definitely hold those waves off. And worst case, if the waves hit earlier on the side lanes, use that to pile on mid and get that turret. Break one turret open, because that's almost going to be a free inhib.
So, Crepo, you've obviously been able to see this from the observer point of view. How much more difficult is it if you're in the Copenhagen Wolves team comms?
They have good vision. They can definitely realize the situation. How much more difficult is in Fnatic's situation? They see a ticking time bomb. They're planning ahead, but there is no clean-cut call to get out of it. They basically have to punish a mistake from Copenhagen Wolves, or they're at risk of losing a tower.
So we'll see if Fnatic can make the right call. That gold lead has grown. We're about to hit 40 minutes into the game. 35 kills and around 7,000 gold between these two teams.
Drum rolls, please. The side lanes are about to hit, so this is where it matters. We see Huni peeling off. The wave's killed in mid, though. This is really good timing. Middle lane goes down. They can't backdoor that. They can't rotate top. The waves didn't hit at the exact same time, so maybe they should have sent somebody to facilitate those waves going in, because Huni just cleared the entire bottom wave. Fnatic has to repeat this one more time in the middle and top wave, and then they're good to go.
In the book of how to defeat Fnatic, Copenhagen Wolves read up to page 14, and he said it was blank. Have they found some pages at the back of the book giving them some information? Because they've managed to get to this top lane. This tower's going down. We see the smite from Reignover, but it's not enough. Equalizer is available, but not used yet. Huni's about to overheat. Let's see what happens. Copenhagen Wolves, they get the top tower after a smart rotation.
Yeah, and look at what they're doing right now. They still have that deep red vision in the jungle, or red jungle vision rather. And look what's about to spawn in about 1 second here. Twitch out. Baron's coming up, I believe, and this is really good. They need to push in one more wave mid to not allow Fnatic. Fnatic realizes this, and they're going for the Rengar ulti.
Wow, Reignover's looking for a target. He's going to be able to root somebody down. He's going to be able to hop. It's Airwax that he sets his sights on. Has the ability to hop again. Shockwave is available, but not used. Reignover's looking. The equalizer goes out, and that's fantastic. Airwax is down. Reignover flashes out. Let's look for Soren. He's got a petrifying gaze. Freeze flashes forward. He flashes the shockwave out. Unlimited jumps in. He's Tibbets down. Youngbucks found 3. He's rooted them. Frozen Tomb to stay alive as now Huni gets melted in the background. Reignover stays alive thanks to that command protect. Copenhagen Wolves, despite losing one early, they put up a decent fight to reply.
I'm have to call out Aerox here. If we look at that fight, you know, he made a very crucial mistake. You just used, they expended Rengar engage. Do not turn back. You're about to bait Fnatic into a choke point when you have Cassiopeia. If not, you're gonna get a free Baron. Do not turn back and force your team to run through that same chokehold against a Rumble. Fnatic's going for Baron right here because they want to punish the Dragon that the Wolves took.
Well, let's see if they can make it work. Dragon number 5 was completed by Copenhagen Wolves. They've got double the bonuses. Look at that mini-map. You've got Copenhagen Wolves coming up from behind. Soren's got no ulti. Reignover's looking for a target, but he's been left alone. Fnatic did take the Baron. They lost their jungler, and it is one mega buff for another. Crepo, exposed inhibitor. Baron on Fnatic, down 6,000 gold. But with Baron
good
buff.
though, they can spread out, use those minions on all the waves to hold the push a lot better. If I was Wolves, I would much rather have that Baron than the 5th Dragon buff. Pick that one up later, unless they can expose this inhibitor right now. But I really want to go back. Aerox made a crucial mistake. Fnatic prioritized the right objective, and the Wolves, they got ahead, but they could have closed the game right here.
Well, could have closed the game, was not to be. Equalizers available for Huni. He's got the spell. Copenhagen Wolves, 1 or 2 more hits is what they need. They take the inhibitor. So, super minions in the top lane. Fnatic with Baron. Huni, again, looking for something. No fight to come just yet. It's a battle
They do
of
love their
wards.
pink wards. Yep, a ward breaks loose, and you see Youngbuck in the bottom, that's good. He wants to start pushing that wave in. They don't have the Baron though, so yeah, super minions in the top lane. The next 3 minutes, I don't think we'll see anything exposed, and by that time, the 5th Dragon buff will have expired, so that's basically nullifying all the advantage. In addition, Baron gives you more gold, or just gives you gold rather than Dragonstone, so I think Fnatic definitely got the better end of that, because they were forced on that play. That wasn't a play they had the chance to make. They had to make that play right there, or they were completely in the dark, ready to get turned on. You know, that was a really, again, crucial timing ulti from the Rengar from Reignover.
Crepo, Fnatic, they're 6-1 in the league. They've only lost the game to Unicorns of Love, mostly because of misplays on an individual level and a smart pick and ban phase from the Unicorns. Against Copenhagen Wolves, they clearly lost the early game. The laning phase was against them.
And the draft, one could argue.
And you've been a fan of Fnatic's scaling. You said you do think with some time, they've got wave clear, they've got the ability to pick it up. With Super Minions top and Baron, is it late enough in the game for their comp to actually pull back against everything that Wolves have? Or do you think Wolves are just so far ahead?
It's getting tricky right now because, yeah, their shields are getting stronger, but at this point, you know, Soren's dealing a godly amount of damage. I'm just going to hover over if I can find him here on my screen to see how much AP he really has. And he has 1,372 AP. You know, you can have a lot of shields, but with Twin Fan Spam, that's going to be a lot. We have to wait for the top lane right now in Wolves. Again, be patient. Always use your side lanes to your advantage, because eventually that's going to draw somebody away and might even force another equalizer from Huni. Fnatic realizes this. You see them moving up a little more because they know if we're going to wait, we're going to get choked out. Let's look if we can get a move here. If not, let's be patient. Copenhagen Wolves has thrown their advantage in the past. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, that's right. Copenhagen Wolves have also, however, won games from teams that have thrown their advantage. It's not the case this time around.
There is no advantage to throw.
That's it. Shield goes onto the tower here from Yellow Star. Eye of the Storm helping to block some of the damage. Baron buff still ticking away. I'm going to double check the cooldown.
They need to
of
send
that.
somebody mid right now. They need to like drive in that wave. Somebody that has damage at the same time as the next wave hits on top, because they can't break the 4-man wave clear. They can't dive it. They've realized that right now. If not, they just need to keep Fnatic here. There's no wards on the map. Look at the entire map. It's completely barren wasteland of no vision. But Reignover, he's going for that signature ulti yet again.
Oh, he's managed to find Soren. Soren's been rooted. The equalizer's great. That's an even better shockwave. Huni's got the first kill of the fight and follows it up with a second. Now we see Steel back. He's janitoring up from the backline, focusing down Freeze. Exhaust comes out. Fnatic find 4 and only lose Reignover.
And it's gone. And yeah,
the entire build-up.
You need more pink boards. You can't see Jet Tower or start rotating at least, but you can't get caught like that with your pants down. It's 5 people. It's just a really beautiful combo though. Look at this. The equalizer, the shockwave, you know, Reignover is still not even close to dying right there. He catches out Soren out of position. There is no follow-up. Look where Youngbuck is right now. He's walking out of the fight. And he starts turning around. He's like, okay, I can't fight. And then Steelback goes in because he knows he can't get popped anymore. And if he does, the rest will clean up.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are your base gates. To my knowledge, the first time I've seen them effectively used in a defensive sieging position. Reignover found a way
To be
in.
fair, he could have hopped over the wall anyways.
Could have, but
Could have, would have, should have, but he got it anyways.
damn it, Rito, please. Those gates are awesome. So, Fnatic get themselves some towers on the board. This is the first tower they've gotten in over 35 minutes. 1, 2, 3 of them, in fact. Middle and bottom outer, as well as the inner. That gold is now completely even.
And this is the most satisfying feeling as a support. The enemy team throws, you push in all the way, and you have wards left on your sightstone. You get the ultra deep vision that you could otherwise never get, and look at those 2 wards. They're actually a little bit too deep, but it's still fun for Yellow Star. But again, you know, this map was completely dark, and suddenly Fnatic has control again. We're gonna start looking at a fight for Baron, because I don't think Wolves are gonna make the same mistake of sieging again, but I think they've lost their momentum, and Fnatic could very well be in position to take this game.
Crepo, you've said you don't think they're going to make the same mistake about 3 times now, and the mistakes have been
Mistakes have been made.
Mistakes have been made. Copenhagen Wolves have given up their lead.
Here's Reignover.
Let's see who we can find. There's exclamation marks. He's found somebody. Does actually get stunned up. I think that was blind. He's got 3,500 HP. Young Bucks looking for a target. Equalizer's going to split them out as Reignover hops back in. Copenhagen Wolves trying to kite, but Airwax is going low. Shockwave is available, as is the Petrifying Gaze. Let's see who can get the better AoE.
Good fight by the Wolves. Kite back and then use the threat of the Cassiopeia ulti to prevent Fnatic from overreaching. Reignover's ultimate is down. He can't jump in anymore with the Orion out of ball. Wow. And this is 5 dragons for Copenhagen Wolves. This might force Fnatic into making a mistake.
Let's see what they can do. Equalizer is not available. Please keep that in mind. Tibbers is up for Unlimited. Does not have flash. So Copenhagen Wolves, they've started Dragon. Actually, it's Fnatic that seems to be putting the damage.
Flying from Airwax and Soren are flash. This might be an absolutely brutal combo.
That is massive. The Petrifying Gaze destroys Fnatic. Huni goes golden before he goes frozen. Airwax gets knocked out, but Steelwack is in trouble. Steelback's going to get taken down. Freeze picks up a kill. He gets one in reply before Yellow Stars drop. Fnatic are aced.
This is game.
Copenhagen Wolves are pushing in. Youngbuck is teleported to the top. Copenhagen Wolves find a fantastic victory against Fnatic.
They filled in the pages in the book. They finally learned. If Reignover comes for you, run away. He's really scary. Kite him back. Use the threat of your composition and then counter engage. Airwax flank at the same time. Soren R flashes forward and they're taking this game, quick shot.
Fnatic are down 6-2 as the Copenhagen Wolves go huge.
Beautiful game.
Been a long time since we've heard the howl of the Wolves on stage.
Against Fnatic of all teams.
And Freeze is definitely singing loud and proud. Fnatic are heartbroken.
They're not used to losing, you know. They're like suddenly, we're the ones walking over usually, but yeah, this time the Wolves claimed that game. They finally learned from their mistakes, and yeah, impressive.
It's even more heartbreaking for Fnatic considering how well they defended, considering how far they drew that game out. Everything the Wolves did, Fnatic had somewhat of an answer in that mid game.
This is one of those few games where you can almost argue to nominate a losing team player for MVP. And in the case of Reignover, set behind, out of his control really. His mid lane was pushed in, he got punished in the jungle. But then the turnaround, like basically time perfect Rengar ultis almost working until eventually the enemy adapted and learned to deal with it. And then Fnatic was out of options. You know, they had very telegraphed plays at the end because they were behind.
Yeah, very, very stern looks on the Fnatic faces. But in the team huddle there, discussing the game, discussing how it went. Elation for Dentist and Unlimited. Something we've talked about Unlimited fairly often in the last week or two, Crepo, is just how many strong AD carries he's played besides. Freeze goes 8-2-13. Unlimited with an unconventional build. 3-4-10. You cannot deny that his Tibbers were instrumental in keeping Fnatic down.
No, I mean, the build's debatable, and I guess he definitely wanted raw HP and use his Molten Shield. If he was going to pop 100 to 0, I can definitely see where he's coming from. Maybe liked a little more MR, but yeah, who am I to disagree? He played phenomenal, had some really good engages, and he wasn't afraid to go in, you know. That's definitely important as an Annie. You can miss some Tibbers, but he went in time and time again, sacrificed for his team, and did his job.
Really, really great play coming out of the Copenhagen Wolves. Reading Fnatic. I'm going to use Crepo's analogy relatively well. The playbook, how to beat Fnatic. There was a big missing section in the middle.
They found it.
But they found the ending, and they definitely had the beginning. if Copenhagen Wolves can do it, surely other teams in the LCS can do it as well.
Yeah, but Fnatic's a smart team. They will adapt as well. You only have to adapt once people figure out your weaknesses. If the same style stays working, eventually SK might even drop a few games, but they're a very smart team. They will adapt as well. This is why the beauty is in a season and not in a few games and in a streak, because everyone's like, oh yeah, look at this team doing nice and fancy. Let's see how Fnatic bounces back from this.
Well, the next game they're going to play is going to be against SK Gaming. And
It's gonna be rough.
if SK can take anything away from this game, do you think they can also read that same book? Do you think SK as a team can do what Copenhagen Wolves just did?
Oh yeah, if SK bot lane lanes 2v2, I think they can definitely win, and then the players are even smart at closing out these games. So definitely, if SK gets this lead, SK will not get this lead go. But Fnatic, they will adapt in Champion Select as well, and they might not give away such a big lead yet again.
Yeah, I really have to step back and just highlight that Soren, Cassiopeia in the picks and bans with all of that focus on the mid lane. You could see the Wolves really wanted to set Soren up for a Cassio pick, for maybe a favorable matchup, or even just one that he was going to make his life a little easier, and ended up working in his favor.
And yeah, once you're ahead, you really want to use your strengths to your advantage. So why not use that threat of that Cassiopeia ulti and damage and force Fnatic to respect it? And that's what they did in the last fight. You kite backwards all the way, you let him come, and eventually they run out of jumps, and then they have to walk into you. And if part of the front line is walking into you, Cassiopeia can pretty much jump in their face and ulti everybody in an AoE, and then Youngba comes in, and then Aerox comes in from the flank, and suddenly you're getting wombo comboed, and that's really something you want to avoid. And props to the Wolves for figuring it out in the last fight there and immediately ace into finish.
Yeah, and they managed to push those side lanes for the win. It took a long time. They did seem to flounder with a vision. You were highlighting in particular, despite having good wards, they weren't denying vision from Fnatic. They weren't necessarily using it to the best.
It's really hard to do that, of
you
course.
Can't fault them for at least setting it up, for being in the right mindset. We see so many teams not using vision effectively.
I think it's a step in the right direction, and as we said, sieging towers is a multi-step process, so it's push, ward, push, and definitely a step in the right direction. What I would recommend is, if you face Reignover, a little more pink wards before he ults, so he has to either walk around them or get spotted during the ultis.
Well, we'll see if they can do that. Crepo, thank you for the first game. We'll be back in a moment for the second. For now, let's head over to the analyst desk, where Shox is joined by a few of the winners.
Thank you very much. Quick shot, and congrats to Freeze and Soren on that win. Before we get into the deep and nitty-gritty game talk, first, Soren, what does it mean to you to not only win on Cassiopeia here once again, but beat Fnatic?
Well, I'm really happy we beat Fnatic. We had a really rough week, two really tough opponents. But I felt like both games yesterday didn't go that well, but I felt like we had a really good chance both games, actually. Everyone was motivated to win, and everyone tried the hardest, so I'm happy.
So
really
you're saying, obviously, sorry to interrupt you, you're saying you guys felt like yesterday you couldn't have won as well against SK Gaming. Are you guys that confident in your current playstyle, and obviously you two guys as the two carries it, that you can really beat the top teams?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say so. You have to be confident to beat some rough opponents. If you would go to play SK and you would be like, okay, guys, we have nothing to lose. We will just lose. We'll do nothing. Let's play for KD or whatever. That doesn't work. That will never work. You have to be the winner's mentality. You have to go in and you will crush them. Fresh Forgiven, for example,
Like a real wolf.
Yeah, absolutely, like a real wolf, and I'm glad you said that, because from the get-go here, you guys were going in. And let's actually get our first replay up on the screen, because Soren, you feel so comfortable on that Cassiopeia. Run us through this fight here where you end up getting tripped.
They try to engage on us with the Rengar. They actually get our X pretty low, but we blow him up super fast. Right now it's just... they're in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
They get I wanted to flash ulti, but I didn't get it off. I think I played the fight pretty bad, but I managed to get a triple kill. Right now it's just pick up. I'm so strong at this point, I can kill anyone, and I just pray to the gods that I juke every skill shot.
Yeah. I was yelling, go, 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 go as well. And Soren played it really well.
Yeah, why do you say in the beginning you played it bad? What could you have done better now?
I had my ulti and my flash up, I believe. And I think, I don't know what I did with my flash, but I need to watch the replay.
You wanted to flash, I think, but then the Orianna shockwave stopped you, and you couldn't flash. Yes,
I'm not sure what happened.
Because it was right next.
Because there were four people in the cataclysm, and if I just flash ulti, they were all going to die instantly.
That would be combo.
The game, yeah.
And I'd actually love to ask about your build as well, because you went for tier early into Rod of Ages, so this fairly slow scaling build. When do you actually decide between like tier into, let's say, a Rylai's, and then instead go for the Rod of Ages? It's just if you get a good start with some early kills, so when do you decide what to build on Cassiopeia? Because there's so many different things you can do.
I feel like Orianna wants to farm up anyway, so I'm not really gonna have to build like early power. So I don't really have to take the fights early, so I can afford to build like scaling items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah, it worked. But let's talk mid-game, because Fnatic wasn't out of this one yet. A lot of times Reignover, I mean, he played fantastic still from behind. You say sometimes, oh, like in this one, I should have flashed, I shouldn't have flashed. Was there in the mid-game maybe lacking someone who said, come on, guys, we got to push it, we got to go in? Or was it just not easy to fight versus their composition freeze?
We had different opinions. One of us wanted to engage all the time. The rest was scared actually, because we were really ahead and we're not used to play ahead. Usually we are behind, then we come back and then we somehow win. But this time we were ahead and it was different, completely different game. We had to be the aggressors, but we weren't, and that made us a bit longer the game, extended the game.
And who is actually like the main shot callers then on the team? Because I know you love to talk, but it's not always the best stuff coming out of your mouth in the game itself. So who's the main shot caller when it really comes to these decisive moments?
Well,
Peter and Evox, I would say, and Soren fills in a bit, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Peter does like the main strategics, like what to do and what's after next, and after now we're back and then we go like top or something. And Alex is kind of the guy that just engages and like go, 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 go.
Yeah, we saw that.
We saw that a couple of times. If Freeze is the guy that likes to call the shots, let's pull the next replay up on the screen of the deciding fight, and we'll bring it up pause so you can orientate yourself, and then if you're ready to roll it, we will, and call the shot.
Right now we've been talking about engaging for 5 minutes. We finally got the balls for it, and we were planning to engage right now. We can roll the clip now, and we managed to both Soren and me ult Fabivan and insta-kill him right there before he even does anything, and that's game over for Fnatic. Right now, 2 champions are down, and we just pick the kills up and flash for steal back, kill everyone, go for the win, finish Nexus, and obviously yell like animals.
Of course.
Celebrate, howl, hug, everything, and deserve taking down Fnatic here. So, next week, Rockite and MYM on the table for the Copenhagen Wolves. What's the main thing you take from this? You can do it when you aggress early. So how are you going to go into those matches?
Well, we'll have to prepare again. We prepared for Fnatic extremely well, and for SK as well, but it didn't work for the SK. So if we put the same preparation we had this week towards Rocket and MIM, then we'll be really confident as well of beating them, and then we can go the aggressive early game. We can go ahead and we can start playing the game we are not used to playing that much, but we managed.
Soren, anything to add? Just happiness.
Well, yesterday I felt like I was really, really upset. Like yesterday evening was like the worst for me. I just went back home, like really looked into myself and found the eager to win again. I feel like I needed that. So I feel like we're in a good run now. We can actually make good things happen. And I feel like this game we actually did like pretty good warding and stuff compared to what we usually do. Like we actually denied vision from them topside and pressured properly. So I think we have like the
good
future. Yeah, the future looks brighter at least.
Are we going to see the Copenhagen Wolves in the playoffs?
I would love to.
You would love to?
I would love to. It is all up to you guys. Keep going as you did today. Congratulations. Fantastic stuff from the Wolves. Coming up next is our final match of the week between Meet Your Makers and the Unicorns of Love. Can the Unicorns of Love continue their climb in the standings? Stay right here and find out.